VortiX, guys. As you can hear, the countdown has begun, and we're going to be loading up into Overgrowth, so let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to game number 1 of this best of 3 here at the Intel Extreme Masters Qualifier Day 2, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the map on Overgrowth. Currently teamless, looking for a team, and is one of Europe's strongest Terran players, so if you want to see him showcasing some of his skills today, well, guess what? This game's a great place to start that off. It's happy, ladies and gentlemen. And the blue Zerg player spawning to the top right position of the map as the Millennium player. One of the most popular foreign players in the StarCraft 2 scene. A bit of a resurgence in 2014 after winning the VortiX Invitational and going on to play in WCS. What can he do here? It's VortiX. Alright, so let's keep an eye on what's going to be happening here. Gas immediately going down from Happy. Very, very standard opener so far. Note, by the way, that despite playing a Zerg player, Happy is not actually walling off at his ramp. We'll find out if there's an interesting reason for that a little bit later on. So he is just going to be grabbing that gas after the barracks there. In the meantime, we've got a spawning pool first. Nice, chilled out and safe coming out from VortiX here. Yeah, not too much to talk about just yet. The Overlord will, of course, be able to pop into the natural expansion just to confirm there are no crazy shenanigans like a command center first. Always a bit of a weird way to start off the series if that's what you're going to do, but it should just about be fine. And we have got the first Reaper coming out here from Happy. The Overlord will be able to see that on the edge of his vision. And I suspect VortiX will also note that there's not going to be a wall off at the top of this ramp. So we'll see if that ends up playing a role later on in the game. Gas, of course, still being mined, potential for that tech to go up later on as the hatchery goes down for VortiX. VortiX, of course, brother of Lucifron, ladies and gents, his younger brother, actually, and recently signing, well, I guess recently as far as this year is concerned, signing for Mouse Sports, Millennium, sorry, and forward to seeing what he can do here. He has he's done a really, really good job, to be honest, in keeping, well, to be honest, just keeping his results there and thereabouts. The VortiX Invitational, for those of you who remember looking back at that, he was just very, very impressive all through that bracket, as the Reaper gets in here and does a little bit of a scout. And while the results haven't always gone his way since then, he did beat both MMA and MVP in WCS, guys, and those two players are not people you want to be just casually scoffing at. Ridiculously good players as well. Even if MVP isn't winning GSLs anymore, I don't think anyone questions how much he is to be feared as an opponent. So lots of really great stuff there. Happy, on the other hand, is one of Europe's strongest Terran players and a very, very consistent performer as well. He's made a good name for himself. Whenever people hear his name sort of in the lineup for a roster, maybe they're not thinking this guy's going to win it outright, but they're certainly thinking he can give anyone in this bracket a run for their money on a good day. And that's exactly what I'm looking forward to seeing here. Happy, of course, also potentially advertising for a new team. So I'm going to be very keen to see how that goes as well. Now we've got the double reactor Hellions, single reactor rather, let's not confuse myself too much, coming out, and the starport's nearly complete here, so potentially we could see a bit of drop play coming out from Happy, but note the lack of a bunker here. You know, it might keep him a little bit open. I suspect he could go by ground, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. We don't have non-stop churning of Marines, by the way. That would be a telltale sign of this going into the medevac, and indeed we've got a Viking coming out first from the starport, so a Happy wanting to shut down these Overlords and potential scouts for VortiX early on in this game. The first two Hellions are going to spot their way into the third base. Won't see very much at the moment. And there are 3 queens here, actually, which should deny these Hellions any sort of opportunity at getting into the natural expansion. However, once we get Hellions 4 and potentially 5 and 6 out, although we don't see those coming out at the moment, then that might not be an issue any longer. Here comes the Viking. What is the Overlord going to see? The answer is, well, it sees that there was a barracks, and that's about it. So, nice denial of scouting there. These 4 Hellions are trying to poke in now, but the double evolution chamber, in addition to the queens there, means that that's just not going to be possible at all. We've actually gone up to 5 queens at the moment off of 2 bases, and VortiX is grabbing his lair as well. You can see the Roach Warren about halfway done there, in between the main and the natural. Now, that hasn't been scouted by our Terran player yet. Happy basically has no idea what's going on, hasn't even scouted the gases in the main base. So, he'll be looking to try and get a bit of a scout on as soon as possible. Now, back home, we can see it's certainly not going to be a timing anytime soon because the double engineering base have gone down for Happy behind his main base. Oh, and there's the scan. Hang on. Do we see the... Ooh, do we see that Roach Warren? That's right on the edge of that scan. I don't know if we do there. And no, we do not, ladies and gents. He just misses the Roach Warren with that scan. He's got a couple of Hellions inside the natural expansion now. This Queen's caught out of position a little bit. Are we going to see a little bit of drone barbecue going down? That are 2 workers killed so far, now going up to 4. 2 Hellions still surviving in the mineral line. The first roaches are going to pop out now. And if he didn't know there were roaches before, he sure as heck does now. And oh, one of them even getting into the main base, although he won't scout anything else before he gets taken out. And we're going to be... Oh, wow! I love the positioning on this Viking, but he has to get out of there really quickly. Happy don't do... Oh, dear. Trigger Happy Viking, unfortunately, ladies and gents, is going to bow out of this game. I love the fact that he kept clearing up those Overlords. VortiX was on 83 out of 84 as well, just to be particularly annoying. And back home, we've got the +1/+1 on the way now. We can see the armor ever so slightly delayed. But Happy perhaps didn't have so much gas to spare just then. And we've also got 2 more barracks incoming, so we're going to be going heavily into this more biocentric style right now. Interestingly, I want to say there have been no tech labs on either barracks this game. We're at the 9-minute and 35-second mark, guys. There's a roach attack's going to come in now. There's no combat shield and there's definitely no stim. So these siege tanks are going to do a really good job of keeping these roaches at bay. But here's what Happy can't do right now. He definitely can't go ahead and take his 3rd base. He needs these tanks to be slowly pushing out into the middle of the map here. At that point, he can take this, but then he's still open to attacks from this side. It'll take him a while before that 3rd can go down. VortiX, on the other hand, he's enjoying that map control right now after killing off those early Hellions. And yes, he had a couple of workers killed, but with these roaches, he's got some measure of control. He's also got 1-1 already complete. 1-1 still en route here for Happy. And as predicted, we've got 2 tech labs on these barracks researching those upgrades that he didn't have before. Stim and combat shield. Realistically, Happy can't guarantee he can hold that 3rd until he gets tanks over here and ideally has a stim and hopefully some of those upgrades active as well. Right now, I think +1 attack just finished, but basically there were no upgrades and this 3rd could be forced to retreat if the roaches were there right now. So he does have to watch out just a little bit. While we were talking about that, of course, the Baneling Nest actually completed here for VortiX. So we'll see if he tries to go for some sort of bust. 18 lings are on the way, so I wonder if that's going to be happening here. And Trigger Happy Viking, once again, is going to make his exit over to the right-hand side of the map, trying to kill off as much scouting as possible. And that's great, because you take a look at the vision of the VortiX, he basically has got nothing beyond the beyond his own half of the map, save this roach at the watchtower. So I think Happy's doing a great job zoning out that scouting with the Viking, and really keeping VortiX guessing as to what he's going to do. The Spire, of course, is going to be following this up in the back of the natural expansion here for VortiX now. And, well, he's got Overlord speed. He's decided he's had enough of Trigger Happy Viking. He's just going to put his Overlords here, there, and everywhere. That might end up being a great idea. Also, potentially useful, if those of you remember TLO back in the Heart of the Swarm beta days. Very useful for baiting out shots from Widow Mines. We've got a couple of lings here spotting that the 3rd base has indeed gone down. Is this going to trigger some sort of attack from VortiX? No, he's going to be using his army here to try and defend an early 4th base. We see Trigger Happy Viking now coming back in. This Overlord speed actually doing a good job of running away so that a Queen can get there in time. And, well, it looks like one of these overlords might go down. No, actually, he gives up at the last second there. We'll be able to go ahead and scout the 4th base, so I like that move coming out of him. And we have a small force of Marines and medevac just moving on to creep. I think this is just a clear creep spread, guys. I don't expect Happy to do substantial damage with this push out, especially because we have an army here. And I'll tell you what, that looks pretty scary. You might want to get the heck out of Dodge, man. There we go. So Happy is going to be bowing out of that particular engagement very soon. Oh, it looks like Trigger Happy Viking number 2 is going to go down here at the 4th base. And wow, we have another engagement here. Happy does need to go all the way back with these forces. I don't think he can contend with VortiX as it currently stands. Right, he's going into... Oh, this is interesting. He's going into Hellbats and Thors right now. So switching it up from that bioplay, but he is still making Marauders and Marines. This is... He's basically going into a Biomech Fusion army right now, and that might end up being quite nice against this. We need that mech to be able to not only... Ooh, hang on. Not only soak stuff... Oh, great Baneling hit, but needed a second one there. Not only soak up the damage in the form of those Thors, and dish out the damage in the form of the Siege Tanks, but then we've got the incredible DPS of the Marines behind it as well. So we'll see how effective this is. The Hellbats, of course, are going to be able to help soak that up too, but look at this. The Muta transition is complete. There are 15 Mutalisks right now at this watch tower. That's in addition to the Banelings and Roaches that we saw there as well. Excellent pick off of one of those medevacs. Happy couldn't keep kiting at that army back forever, especially with the Mutas here now. And he's got to be worried about defense right now, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there are situations here where VortiX might even not want to push in and just grab the gold. We'll see what he ends up doing. He's actually grabbing this space over here on the right-hand side. So we're trying to keep things as softly contained as possible. He's also got his ridiculous creep spread is now entering... to be honest, going up the ramp where he can start sort of mucking up the gold base of Happy there. So very, very good at keeping up on that creep spread, keeping this map nice and purple, and while his scouting information was heavily denied in the first part of this game, VortiX now at the 15-minute mark is looking a lot more comfortable as the missile turret gets taken out in the main there. Will tactically retreat, got a couple of Marines trying to stim forward and kill them off, won't be able to at this time though. Huge army from VortiX. He comfortably has control of the watchtower. He can kill off this Marine anytime he wants and grab it back. That's really not an issue for him here, and Happy is forced to stay. Now, even though he's basically a bit contained right now, he's got 3-3 for his bio on the way. +1 attack, I guess, for the mech is going to be great as well, especially for the siege tanks are Happy. His army is still very formidable. He's at 191 supply, and he is at 2-2, so let's not forget that. And it looks like he's moving out. He's had enough of this. He wants to take that watchtower. Here comes the scan. Banelings coming in, though, and most of the mech is actually out in front, so doing a great job of soaking that. A lot of Banelings going off on those 2 Thors. Happy's got to be really pleased about that. And now he's able to get a little bit of a foothold out into the middle of the map, but I tell you what, he has an awful lot of creep to kill off right now if he wants to finish this game. It's going to be very difficult. He's continuing to press forward. VortiX is preparing for a monster defense here. A lot of Banelings getting cancelled there, realizing he's morphing those just a little bit too far forward. And we're continuing to go Muta-Ling Bane to supplement these Roaches. Oh my god, the bio on the right-hand side gets completely decimated, and the Roaches and the Mutas coming into the middle. We might not even need that Ultralisk transition with the Ultralisk cabinets coming in for VortiX right now. 15 more Mutalisks! Hey, did you say Ultra Transition? You know what? I have more ideas here. And we are going to be flooding the skies, ladies and gents, in Happy's half of the map momentarily. Happy is taking his 4th base right now. It's becoming a planetary fortress, which is great. But he needs more units to be able to defend this. Those siege tanks and those Thors took forever to bring out, and he's going to struggle to remax at this point. He's at 140 supply versus 200. VortiX is looking like he is seizing control of this game. More Lings and more Banelings. Guys, these basically buy time to allow the Mutalisks and potentially Ultralisks to come out here, and we are getting, as you can see, a lot of those upgrades in preparation for that Ultra transition as well. So here we go. The Thor, not going to be able to do too much, gets 1 or 2 volleys off, but the number of Mutas right now is absolutely insane. There were 23 of them, and the Marines and Marauders have to seriously be worrying a bit about these Banelings. And as a result, the sky is completely uncontested. This 4th base is entirely forfeit. Yes, there are 2 missile turrets. No, they're not going to matter. And VortiX will be able to take out this 4th base. Now the question is, does this also give VortiX the game? That's what we're looking at right now. This planetary fortress, well, I mean, Happy's trying to keep it alive as long as possible, but the bounce plays from the Mutalisk can ensure that the SCVs over time are taking damage as well. The Planetary Fortress looks like it's going to go down. VortiX has got control of the Watchtower, and there's very little Happy can do right now. 11 workers to 4 still killed this game, so he hasn't lost that many as far as workers are concerned, but he is still down at 57. Yes, he's got additional bases here, but they haven't floated across anywhere else, well, especially since that's a Planetary Fortress, but we've got this orbital here, and he's only mining off of 3 bases still. He's at 139 supply, and if we take a look, yeah, thanks to the mules, he's got some great mineral supply, but his gas count is basically half of that of VortiX, and you can't really afford that if you're trying to continue to mech up like this. He's basically limited to Hellbats, guys, with his gas income right now. He's not going to be able to get a meaningful number of Thors and tanks out on the field, so that's going to be a bit dangerous. Happy wants to be able to attack in multiple places at once. He wants to think about things like drops. I'm not sure he can afford it right now, though, because he needs every man on the ground he can get to defend against this incoming attack. The Ultralisk, the Mutas, this is looking pretty scary. We've got 2-2 on melee, and we've also got +2 flyer attacks on the Mutalisk as well, so making sure that VortiX stays on top of that. He's building up a 2k bank right now, and I think he's just taking this game real slow. Look at this, the creep spread is nearly onto his third, and he's going for this engagement, leading with the 3 Ultralists. The Hellbats with Blue Flame are doing a great job against those Lings, but here come the Mutalists, raining death from the skies, and the Bio's just about going to clear up the second Ultralisk here, but is there enough in terms of DPS marine damage to take out the Mutalisk? It doesn't look like it. The final Ultralisk goes down. The number of Mutas still out on the field is, well, it's 10 now, but look at the army from Happy. It's shrunk such hugely in size. 110 supply now versus 167. These Mutas are continuing to pick off medevacs. I'm not sure he wants to sack them entirely, but I tell you what, if he kills off every medevac, he might not mind losing all his Mutas right now, because he could remax on Lings or something. And that's exactly what he's going to try and do. We've got Lings and Ultras to follow up. We haven't got additional Mutalists, even though he's got a decent amount of gas in the bank. He's taking his gold base now as well, and he's saying, well, actually, if I just keep trading, I'm on way more bases than you are, mate. You're in a lot of trouble here. I know you haven't got these bases because I've already got creep over there. VortiX is going to cover 3/4 of this map in creep, soon to be all of it, and there's a command center that's floating over you. I can tell you now, 1, maximum 2 more creep tumors means that this command center will not be able to land by the time it gets there, and Happy is being choked out of this game. He's taking these engagements arguably cost-efficiently, and here come the Banelings. Oh, they're bypassing the Thor this time, and oh my god, this is carnage. Absolutely pummeling through to the natural expansion and the third base. GG! And VortiX, ladies and gentlemen, takes game number 1.